So let's talk about the love languages of two fearful avoidant attachment styles when dating one another. And we'll put a different spin on this today. We will talk about not just the love languages in the traditional sense, so the Dr. Gary Chapman's five love languages, but we'll talk about another language of love in this video, which is the language of giving and receiving love through our needs. You see, each individual attachment style has specific needs that, when given to or received from, they feel a deep sense of love and connection to their partner. So we'll kick it off with our traditional love languages, and then we'll talk about the other language of love, specifically the needs and how we can give these needs to one another between two fearful avoidants together in a relationship. And keep in mind, this definitely applies to romantic relationships primarily, but it also definitely applies to friendships, family relationships, co working relationships, all relationships overall. So, first and foremost, if you haven't already heard, there is a very, very common dynamic of this idea that we have different languages of love. This was originally discovered by Dr. Gary Chapman. And he talked about the five different love languages, which are quality time, which is pretty self explanatory, like actually spending quality time with somebody. Physical touch, which is affection, connection. It can be around sex and intimacy as well. Then we have words of affirmation. Words of affirmation is also pretty self explanatory. Encouraging one another, validating each other, reassuring each other, all sort of fall under that category. Then we have acts of service, which is this idea of, maybe I'll make you a coffee and bring it to you in bed in the morning, or cook you dinner, or take you to the airport. So it's like doing these things for one another that are basically acts of service. And then last but not least, we have gifts, right? So giving somebody a gift, something thoughtful, something kind. And each different attachment style actually tends to have a slightly different relationship to the love languages. But when we have two fearful avoidant attachment styles dating, they tend to usually have high love languages, and sort of their hierarchy tends to be prioritized around quality time, physical touch, and words of affirmation. And those tend to be really, really strong for fearful avoidance as a whole. Now, if we do have a fearful avoidant who leans more into their anxious side and one of them leaning more into their avoidance side, we may see the fearful avoidant leading more avoidance start expressing some love languages that are a little bit more indirect, like acts of service and gifts, can take a little bit more priority. But generally, we're really going to see quality time being a big thing, physical touch being a big thing, and words of affirmation. Now, when we talk about the other language of love, when we talk about our needs, if you've ever had the experience of your needs being deeply met by somebody, you probably can attest to the fact firsthand that what you see is you feel really connected to that person. You feel like that person really sees you or gets you or knows you, or you feel like you have a really powerful bond. And I would actually make the argument that somebody meeting our needs that are really specific to us as individuals, which also happen to fall under specific attachment styles from an integrated attachment theory point of view, these needs, when met, could even make us feel more connected to a partner. So, fearful avoidance when dating each other, they need emotional depth. They want to have, this deep connection, this deep conversation, vulnerable shares about what they've been through or experienced, being received and heard and listened to by somebody that they love, and vice versa. And I would say that's one of the biggest ones for fearful avoidance. Another big one is growth. Fearful avoidance like to grow if they're growing together by playing a sport together, or doing a hobby, or exercising together. Or if fearful avoidance are growing together by taking a course together, or reading together, or, all these different things that can really cause this feeling of like, oh, we're growing together. That tends to be huge. Another big thing is transparency. When somebody deeply shares like why they did something that they did and the other person can understand, it makes a fearful avoidant feel really safe in their connection to another person. So it's another really important dynamic. Passion, being very invested, caring, involved, being passionate about shared experiences or hobbies, but also experiencing passion and the connection of a relationship, a spark, that tends to be something very, very meaningful to fearful avoidance. Another huge thing is novelty and freedom. I would say novelty, freedom, exploration. When fearful avoidance, when they're dating, can do these things together, like explore new things, try new things, go to new places, and they share in that exploration and kind of discovery together. That tends to be something that really, really brings them close. And also this sense of trust and this sense of presence. Okay, like not gifts, but like being present with somebody in a relationship. These things go such a long way for fearful avoidance as a whole. So when each fearful avoidant is giving these things or creating shared experiences around these things together, this is actually going to be where you see this relationship feel the most connected, most deeply, as long as at the same time, you're also seeing that we're working through the challenges and pain points, because it's really hard to be on a nice vacation or a nice trip with a fearful avoidant if you're a fearful avoidant and you're both triggered 10 out of 10, right? It doesn't go very well in that case. So, we want to be able to double down on these really beautiful shared experiences and know each other's love languages, know each other's needs languages of love, essentially. And then we want to be able to get the pain points or the challenges out of the way. So whether that's the core wounds and the triggers, whether that's the lack of boundaries or the fear of losing your independence because you're too enmeshed, if there's anything like that, those are things to work on.
So I just wanted to stop by here and let you know a really exciting announcement, and is that we are doing $1,000 off of our lifetime memberships to the Personal Development School for Life. So I will tell you what's actually included in there. Number one, you get access to all of our different 60 plus courses. Everything about every single attachment style, how to reprogram, how to heal. We have courses in there about the 6 stages of relationships and how to navigate each stage. We have courses in there about how to get back together or heal relationships between different attachment styles and all of the steps for reconnecting. And we have all sorts of other courses on boundaries, conflict communication, setting and achieving goals at the subconscious level, seeing how attachment styles even show up in your workplace and how to navigate some of those different dynamics and heal those aspects of your attachment style. There's so many courses in there, but number 2 feature that we have, daily social support groups. So these are small groups that are all included in the lifetime membership, and we do daily events, sometimes even twice a day, where there will be, 10 people or so led by a trained counselor, coach, or facilitator. And you can actually join in there and practice some of the different tools with other members. It's a great place to build relationships, connect with like-minded people, and to really fast track your learning and have that extra support all the time. And number 3, we have daily webinars Monday through Saturday. I do 3 of those webinars every single week. That's the time to come in, ask me your questions. You can come in on camera and we can chat. You can come in off camera and just post them in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable doing. And we have other amazing counselors, coaches, facilitators who also lead other webinars. And again, those are slightly larger groups of people, but it's a great opportunity to connect with like-minded learners who also care about the same things: emotional connection, relationships, and personal growth. So I hope you check it out. We also have all these different discussion forums in there. We have a Facebook group, so you can connect with each other there as well. And there's a tremendous amount of community support in an ongoing way at PDS. So I would love to see you on the other side. I hope you join me. And now we'll go back to the video.
Thank you for watching. Let me know if you want to see more content like this. If you have more questions around content like this, I would love to hear from you. If you want more fearful avoidant content, hit the like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already to our community. I would love to have you here. And thank you so, so much for stopping by. I look forward to seeing you in future videos.